Back. Yo. We're back. We're back. We're going to talk about punk rock music. Did you catch my punk rock faux pas in that intro song? That's what's that one? That's from this. I Wanted Everything. I love that song. But I screwed it up. I screwed it up because I stopped doing all dance strokes. For the briefest of moments, I gave myself a moment, a brief respite, respite, I don't know, of least punk rock word ever. From the relentless downs that Johnny does. Also, I'm wearing my Ramones/Simpsons t-shirt, which commemorates the time when the Ramones played at Mr. Burns' birthday, and Mr. Burns said to have the Rolling Stones killed. So it's like a Rolling Stones shirt. Can you believe I haven't talked about the Rolling Stones yet? Anyways, I'm gonna. I want to talk about punk rock. Because it's it is an interesting thing. Because I really feel like I don't get it. I feel like it's one of these things where it's like, maybe you had to be there in the 70s. But it kind of does. I was talking about how music is kind of, rock music is kind of comedic, and like, aren't the Ramones kind of funny? Like, the Ramones are funny. Like, who are these dudes? Why are all their names are Ramon, and they're dressed all the same, and their songs are like ridiculous? Like, the lyrics are crazy. Like, "Beat on the Brat" is an outrageous thing. So like, they're definitely a funny band. So this plays into my whole thought. See where I'm going with this? But anyways, I read this book. I think, Ed, did you give me this book? If you want to read about punk rock music, I suggest reading this, because this is basically details like the history of punk rock. It's called "Please Kill Me," through various interviews of people that were there. And where that book says that punk rock starts is with Andy Warhol and the Velvet Underground, and even kind of maybe before that, the Doors. The Doors is punk rock. An interesting notion, suggesting that like punk has its roots in like weird art stuff. So that's interesting. And then from that, you've got Iggy Pop. Here, look, we're incorporating the album part of this. It's all part of it. So Iggy, and then it goes into Iggy. And Iggy, apparently, when he was making this album, or the first Stooges stuff, he really wanted to be in a blues group. See how I'm connecting this stuff? He really wanted to be in a blues group, and their answer was to do this. I'm gonna play a Stooges song in a bit, but this still has like a lot of blues stuff going on in it. And then, as far as I can tell, like Iggy goes on to be a huge inspiration for like Bowie and for pretty much every punk rock person ever. Doesn't this album reminds me of this album cover? Kind of. Who's cuter? I don't know. Joey. It's Joey. So anyways. So after you get like, to me the Stooges are like the thing, right? Like the performance of whatever Iggy is doing is like the most punk rock thing ever. Like he's the greatest. But then the Ramones come along, and they obviously all love Iggy. And then I think maybe the main thing that separates the Ramones from a lot of this other punk rock stuff is that they were trying to be a business from like day one. If you read Johnny's biography, like he wanted that to be a gig. Like, he wanted that to be his job. He wanted the Ramones to be big. He wanted them to be a big, major, successful band like the Beatles or whatever, which was his. I think he said that's his favorite band is the Beatles. It's all coming together. And aren't the Beatles kind of like the original punk rock group? Anyway, so the thing is like, isn't that like the least punk rock thing ever? Being like, yeah, we want to sell millions of records. Isn't that like the least punk rock thing? So like then, okay, who are other punk rock bands that come to mind? The Clash. And I would argue that the Clash are very political, right? Like they have a political message, I think. I mean, I don't really know. Excuse me, I don't know much about the Clash. I don't know what it is. Like I just missed the boat. Like we've established that I like silly things. The Ramones are silly, and I inherently like them. The Clash is kind of silly, but I always interpreted them to be more serious than not. Gotta get the guitar in the shot. So anyways, and then you start thinking about other rock stuff and you say, oh yeah, like Bob Dylan had kind of a political thing. The Beatles did political stuff. The Rolling Stones did political stuff. So then I guess rock music also has political stuff in it as well as comedic stuff. My brain hurts. My brain hurts. Anyways, and then the 80s, I don't know, I just lose track of punk rock. Somebody explain the 80s punk rock to me. Ed, if you were here, I'm sure you'd be able to help me with it, but I just don't get it. And then, when I'm like a kid or whatever, then Green Day shows up, right? And Green Day, like, I think that's punk rock, right? Like, that is, like, unapologetically, like, that's gotta be punk rock. But now, if you go downtown, Green Day, I saw a poster where they're called an emo group. An emo group? Because I guess it's because they have makeup on. Anyways, I guess that's what it is. I guess you have to dress a certain way and then you get to be in a group, in a genre. But anyways, yeah, the genre musings and madness continue. No one has anything they want to say. There's no one out here in Videoland really that wants to like come at me on this punk stuff. I clearly don't know. Well, I know a little bit about punk rock, but I'm like, again, I think it was noted that I'm like the least metal person ever. Maybe I'm also the least punk rock person ever. Anyway, let's do Stooges. Whoa. Disaster averted here. Incidentally, the disaster is I should have put this thing back on. This is from a Grolsch bottle. Yo, Elaine. What's up? I should have put this on my strap pin. It's from a Grolsch bottle. I didn't. And so then I almost had a friggin' disaster. Anyways. Okay, so this is from Funhouse. That's what I'm saying. What's up, man? Anyways, that was Aaron, what's that one called? The lovely Erin knows this one. She's actually the singer on this when we play it. But anyways. Oh, that one's called Dan on the Street. That's from the lovely Erin. Incidentally, I just got word that this wasn't commercial enough. So we got to change format starting tomorrow. So I don't think it's the beginning of a new season. They're forcing us to retool mid-season, which is highly unusual. We're going to try it.